If you're thinking of selling your house, then you need to watch this video. Because if you don't fix these 5 things before you put your house on the market, there's a good chance you're going to get less money than you planned for, or you're not going to sell at all. So here are 5 things that stops a house from selling, and we're going to get started right now. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to All Things Tennessee with me, Ben Barreto, your local real estate pro and relocation expert for East Tennessee. Today, we're going to discuss 5 things that stops a home from selling, so let's get started. In today's hot seller's market, with low inventory and hungry buyers, many homeowners think that they can just toss a sign in the yard, throw their feet up, and collect the money. Even though a year ago that might have worked, it was still unlikely then, and in today's market where buyers are way more cautious about available homes, it's almost impossible. You actually got to put in some work. Yes, we're in a seller's market, but no, you can't just toss a fixer-upper on the market and expect top dollar. Surprisingly though, even great homes that aren't fixer-uppers can run into obstacles that can halt a homeowner's dreams to sell big and move on with their life. Now, I could probably rattle off 10 or more things that stop a home from selling, but in most of them, they're obvious things. So I wanted to point out 5 surprising things that you might not consider that could send buyers fleeing from your home before the showing even gets started. Number 1 is green. Yes, the color green, but not just green. Green is just a sample color, but the main point of the first thing that could stop a home from not selling, or stop a home from selling, is just ugly colors in general. Yes, we all know that lime green walls can be a huge no-no when selling real estate. The goal for painting walls are neutral colors that aid in lighting a room and making them feel bigger. But what about shaggy, bright carpets, or rugs, or tiles? Yes, these will also kill your ability to sell your home. So yes, stay the heck away from green, purple, dark brown, and all those dark or eye-hurting colors that can really hurt a person's eyes and sensibility. The second thing is too many pets. Now, you know that smell of a cat or a dog when you put your face in their fur and you breathe in deeply. You may love it if you're a pet owner. I know I do it all the time. Now think of cat or dogs that use the potty on the floor and how that smell is pungent and strong until you clean it up. Now when you have 30 pets or 10 cats, whatever the case is, the smell can be downright insulting. And the problem is when you live in that environment every day, you don't smell that. The challenge here is, how do you tell a seller their house stinks of litter boxes and wet dogs without insulting them? Many times it's impossible. So that's why if you're that person that has 20 cats or dogs and thinks to themselves, my house doesn't stink, well listen, you're probably wrong, and it probably does. And you've just grown accustomed to the smell, and so it's like it's not there for you. But believe me when I say that if you want to sell your house for top dollar and keep buyers in it, you need to do something about the pets. So here are some quick tips. 1, while your house is on the market, find a temporary place for your pets, or most of them anyway, to stay, just until the house sells. This will help keep accidents to a minimum, and the smell won't be building up or multiplied by every single pet you have in the house. Second is get your home professionally cleaned from top to bottom, and definitely if you have carpets, get them steam cleaned by a professional at least twice, if not 3 times, prior to going on the market for that first day of showings. And finally, unless you have a farm, or you should probably seek some professional help. Starting with active meetups and getting out there and meet other human beings. You're probably lonely and you need some human friends because you're not coping with your loneliness well. Therefore, you have 30 plus pets in your house. The next thing that can stop a house from selling is noisy and nosy neighbors. Now, I think we could say simply annoying neighbors would cover both those categories. Yes, you can have the sexiest house on the block, but if your neighbor has engine parts and shells of cars scattered across the property, scaffolding on the side of the house, an unfinished renovation lingering every week that passes with no development or progress, or you have that neighbor that's tinkering with their monster truck, revving the engine, or you got that neighbor that likes to rock out in the driveway with their shirt off and their beer gut hanging out. don't expect your house to sell to anyone but that neighbors, friends, or people like them. Is that an environment you'd want to live in? Now, I'm going to assume the answer is no. So what about nosy neighbors? Who shows up during a buyer showing or walking through the house to investigate the people in the house and start asking them 20 questions about where they're from, and it makes it feel like an interrogation. So much that the buyers think it's an interrogation and are scared to stay in the house, and so they don't see it and they run. Avoid these people, to avoid these people that they definitely don't want to live next to. That's pretty much what you face if you have annoying, noisy, and nosy neighbors. No one wants to live in that kind of environment. So if we did, we'd all continue to live with mom and dad until we put them in the ground. So what do you do in that scenario? This is a hard one, but the fact of the matter is, you got to get creative. And knowing your neighbors is really going to help out. When are they home? When they're not available? When are they least noisy? And try to schedule showings around those times. You're going to have to get your listing agent involved and make sure that you're working as a team to get the people in and out without them running into those scenarios. And if you got a neighbor with that messy lawn, maybe offer to help them clean it up or help them finish whatever it is they've gotten started and didn't get around to doing. The next one is something that drives me nuts, and I brought this up in other videos, and that is cell phone photos of a new listing. One thing I hear buyers complain about is how deceptive photos are when it comes to looking at houses online. But the funny thing is that you'd think that photos by a non-professional with a cell phone or something would be more realistic and valuable to the public, but it's not. Portrait style photos especially make rooms look dark and small, and they make buyers feel claustrophobic without even being in the house. The goal of photos is to draw buyers in, capture their interest, and get them to schedule an appointment and see the house in person. If you're doing photos on your Android or your Apple, no matter how great the camera is compared to your old phone, it will never be the kind of quality pictures that draw in more buyers, which leads to more money. Whether it's you as the seller saving a buck or two, or it's an agent you hired saving the money, which if that's the case and they're using their phone, I hope you got a huge discount on the commission. At the end of the day, when you sell your house for $10,000 less, but save $200 or $300 because you didn't hire a professional photographer, does that math add up for you? So listen, get professional photos. It's totally worth it for everyone involved. Before we get into the last thing that can stop a home from selling, make sure to check out last week's video where I give you 6 reasons not to move to East Tennessee. You can check that video out by clicking right here, or you can follow the link in the description. Also, while you're here, make sure to hit like and subscribe. And if you're thinking of buying or selling in East Tennessee, give me a call. My contact information is always in the description and probably scrolling right here. Alright, the last thing that can stop a home from selling is too much plant life or overgrown plant life. You've heard how important curb appeal is. A lot of times, in fact, most of the time, the issue is too little plant life in front of a house. The house looks plain, boring, deserted, but too much plant life can also make a home look deserted, or even worse, uncared for. When a house is overgrown bushes, trees hanging over the house, knee-high grass, vines climbing up the side of the house, covering windows, then the buyer's first thought is, what's it look like inside? Then they might think, if they let the outside of the house go like this, imagine what the inside of the house looks like, or what the structure of the house is like. They're obviously thinking you don't take care of it, and it's not a house they want to deal with. Whether that's true or not doesn't matter. What matters is what a buyer thinks of your home and what they are willing to pay, if anything at all. If they aren't willing to pay anything, then that means your house is worthless. Zillow or an appraiser can say your house is worth more, but a house is only worth what someone is willing to pay for it. So before you list your house, make sure you hire a landscaper, and if you can't do it yourself, and clean up the yard, cut down the vines, trim back the bushes, cut off the tree branches, make the yard and the house look attractive. As you can see, even in a seller's market, a house still has to be prepped in order to sell, especially if your goal is to sell for the high end of market value. Well, that's it for today's video. I appreciate you guys stopping by. As always, thanks so much for watching. I hope you have a great day and a great rest of the week, and I'll see you next time. Bye.